Hello, and welcome to another episode of Mad Mike's Garage. Today we are going to be changing the oil in a 2015 Lexus GX460. They are basically a Toyota 4Runner with a V8. They have the 4.6 liter V8, and it takes 8.2 quarts of oil. So we'll get it up and I'll show you everything you need to do, what tools you need, and at the end of the video, I'll include how to reset the oil maintenance light. Stay tuned. Okay, we're gonna slide in from the front. Take you back where you need to be here. This would be the second skid plate. You don't need to remove this one, but you'll see this oval hole here. And our drain plug is going to be located right here. It's one of the things I really don't like to use power tools on, because you just don't know who was in here before. And that was definitely not extremely tight, so make sure you don't have a little 1 gallon pail, because you're gonna have a bad experience here. So hopefully you can put this back in a decent spot where we can all see something. And yeah, okay, well, there should be 8.2 quarts of oil come out of here, in that range. I'm sure had some burn off. Like I said, I ran this thing way over, so looks pretty good for being over on the oil change interval. So from what I'm seeing, I'm pretty happy. Okay, our next step is to get our skid plate off so we can access our oil filter housing. To do that, you'll need, these are 10mm bolts, and then I believe there's 12mm bolts inside those two holes there. Okay, I was a slight correction there. It was there's 4 spots that skid plate mounts, and they're all 12mm. There's one here, one there, and then you have the 2 back here, and then there's a plastic piece that runs in here, and I went ahead and took it out. And this here, get the light here set up for you a little better. That cover actually hinges inside these brackets, so if you want, you could just take the 4 12mm bolts out and let it hinge down, and then you would just come in from the back side, and then what you're after here is this filter housing here, if you can see it. So it's this one right here. You're probably upside down in every which way, but this is the housing, and then this black plastic piece is what we need to get off, and that hides our filter element inside. Here's our adapter socket, and these fittings, these little notches fit on these notches on the actual adapter itself. I don't know what Toyota was thinking. I like my Toyotas and Lexus vehicles. They're pretty well made, but I think the engineer that dreamt this up should have been left go, because it's just not a very good setup. Like, as you can see, you have to tap the dang adapter. It doesn't fit that well. And all right, I had to use the old big boy. I have a crescent wrench, it's no joke, and it fit on here perfectly. So we're gonna loosen this up. A mess, I'm sure, will ensue. So we'll bring the drain pan up here, that I'm sure won't do anything. And, yeah, I just moved you at home. We'll see. Hopefully we can get some of it. If not, any bit will be better than nothing. So this is definitely not one of Toyota's more better ideas. Because this is dumb. And I like Toyota, so I don't know what they were thinking. There was a bad day at the office here, I think. The only thing I can think is they thought maybe this would be a way to keep people from wanting to change their oil at home. I think more money at the dealerships, possibly. It's just a hunch. So I loosened it up, as you can see, and I'm just kind of waiting here until the majority of the housing leaks out, and so I don't have a huge splash. The V6s and 4-cylinder Toyotas have the housings, instead of it being this way, it's straight down, and then there's a fitting on the bottom, and you pop this little plastic piece on, and it drains all this for you. We are just about there. Just need to sneak all this out now. Sorry you're off camera there, but you can see the housing. And then we'll get back down to the filter here. You can see the filter itself. Let that drain out. Over here on the little space for it, and then same with this. And that's normal. Every time I change oil in one of these, you end up, the housing about half sticks to the, at least with these plastic ones. There's a metal upgrade one you can get. I might look into that, but we'll get a new O-ring for this. Some people will say, oh, you need to get they'll show you their fancy pick tool that you need to get the O-ring off and act all fancy. Ooh, I think I just showed you how to do that. So there we go. I'll get a little carburetor cleaner and shoot in here and clean up the inside of the housing. Because to me, this is basically the inside of a metal. And that's gritty. I can feel grit in there, so I wouldn't just jam a new filter in and think you're good to go. Definitely clean this out, because this is basically like the inside wall of your metal filter, and we don't have that, so you can see all the contaminants on it. So definitely worth your time to use a little solvent and spray down inside here, and then wipe it out with a rag, because this is nasty inside here. Hello YouTube, this is what you'll need to do this job. You need to get yourself a filter. Here's the part number. (04152-YZZA3). And an A5 will work as well. A 12mm to get the skid plate off. All 4 bolts are 12mm. A 14mm ratchet I like to use to get the oil pan drain bolt out. Of course, you'll need your Toyota specific housing adapter. Of course, this is your housing. And then some oil of whatever flavor you want. I'm not getting into that mess. Everybody else, there's oil snobs out there. It's probably all made at the same place. Really, I'm not getting into that right now. So this is how to get it done. If you want, you can get one of those crush washer kits. I have never changed one in my entire life. And I have never had anything leak oil. So change it if you want. I don't. You don't have to be me. This is kind of a little bit of how I do, but this way you know what's going on. So we're gonna go put the new filter in our housing here, and then guess I can set you here on a tailgate because I can't one-hand this very well. So what you need to do is get your O-ring out. The biggest thing I see from this one, and probably the A5, is this. All this has is this O-ring in it, and it goes on here, which I already cleaned out. I washed all this out with carburetor cleaner. It's nice and clean in there. Definitely do that. It's worth your time. And then you'll slide this new O-ring right over the housing there, and then I'll get a little bit of oil before I jam this in here, and make sure you lubricate that O-ring real good. And then of course here you can see how this works. You got one notch here and 3 notches here. So of course you have 1 notch and then 3 notches. So you just line that up, and then you'll push this on your housing. Whammo. See you underneath. Hey, I found some oil. We'll jam that right on the O-ring here. There'll be more up inside this housing. You can really lube it up. I'm gonna grab my rag real quick, 'cause I don't like the way that oil that I filled inside there. It's definitely not the cleanest oil on the planet, so I want to clean that out. So this is basically, you're messing around with a inside of an oil filter. I don't know. Toyota to help me understand. But I'm sure they're smarter than I am. All right, we're nice and clean in there now. Yes, sir. So we will put our housing back up in. Try to get my mitts out of the way so you can see what's going on. And all you do is just turn it in. I'll provide links in the description for one of these oil filter housing adapters. I don't know what they would charge to change the oil on one of these. It is a little more involved than most vehicles because of mainly just because of that mount you have to, the skid plate you have to take out. But here we go. All right, so we have our drain plug. We shall install that. Tighten it to one ugga-dugga, not too tight. Here's our filter housing. That's how that's supposed to look. I popped the specialty tool off of it, so we're good to go. It's time for the skid plate. So, I don't know. But this skid plate's a pain in the ass. I'm just gonna say it. It's not fun at all. But there you can see how it'll hinge. So it will. And then bolts up into place like that. So, this is all you would have to do. If you can see here how it sits back. And then you can access your housing and stuff from inside here. And you can leave it hang if you want to. But this is my first time, so I wanted to access everything and just see what everything looked like, honestly. It wasn't that much to get that plastic piece off in the front, so. We'll jam this on quick, hopefully. And finally, skid plate engaged. All right, here we are, top side. Just remember, we need some 0W20 synthetic motor oil. Get yourself your funnel, whichever flavor funnel you choose. If you spill a little, guess what? It won't rust there. So, being that this needs 8.2 quarts, I purchased two 5-quart jugs of oil. So, of course, we'll go through the first one, and then we will need, everybody that's good at math will know we need another 3.2 quarts out of the other 5-quart jug. So, $0W20 is like, it's like water. It's really thin oil. With these newer vehicles, I wouldn't recommend really switching off of it. Some of the older stuff that doesn't have the variable valve timing and stuff, you can get away. And I've found a huge improvement in oil consumption. And with switching back to a conventional and a little thicker motor oil on some of the newer vehicles, my daughter's Camry, for one, was consuming a lot of oil, and I switched it over to I think a 5W30 conventional, and the oil. I also put some Marvel Mystery Oil in that one though. And it almost, basically the consumption completely stopped after we did that. So it could have been that the Marvel chewed on some deposits and got those high efficiency, oil rings unstuck or something. I don't know what happened. It was like a freaking miracle. So we'll take it, fire this up, check it on the stick. And that's pretty much it for the oil change here. So I'm not going to show you how to check your oil level on a dipstick. I think that's going to be it. So I hope you learned. Oh, that's right. I got to show everybody how to do the oil reset. That's next. Hello YouTube, and we are getting ready to reset our maintenance light. So I just hit the switch 2 times to get us to this mode. Make sure you don't, of course, hit the brake pedal. Now we need to come over here and hit the odometer. Put it on trip A. So it cycles through. When you hit the button, it'll go trip A, trip B, odometer. So put on trip A, turn the car off, and then we're going to hold the trip odometer button down and hit the button, the ignition button, 2 times. 2. As you can see, if you can see that, it is resetting maintenance data. It is complete, and that is it. So recap, turn your car on by hitting the ignition twice without your foot on the brake. Use your trip odometer, go to trip A. Shut the car off. And then, just like this, you'll shut it off. And then you have to hold the trip odometer button down while you press the switch twice. 1, 2. And you can see it is resetting it. I'm resetting it again. So it's pretty simple. Done deal. So hopefully that last part wasn't too herky-jerky, but I appreciate everybody watching, subscribing, sharing, liking. It helps. So I'll see you guys next time on Mad Mike's Garage.